I'm here talking with Miss Madgie Walker. Miss Walker, what year was you born?
I was born 1927.
And how was the times in 1927 dealing with racism and segregation?
It was where I was born in a little small town called Hatter, Georgia. Jones County was the county I was born in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a mixture of both the South and the North going to school in elementary school. And when I was in Georgia going to school, where I started school was in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
when the whites had buses, and we had to walk, and they had the big yellow buses, and we had to walk the country roads to school. Sometimes we had to go to the woods to get the wood to put in the wooden stoves in order to have fire in this little 3-room schoolhouse I went to school in.
Wow.
And that was the first I knew about racism, when we had the outdoor toilets.
Mm.
And some of the teachers were not educated, because some of them started teaching with an 8th grade education.
Wow.
And then later they taught with 11th grade educations, and then finally they had to have a college degree in order to teach. But when I first started, during World War, before World War, and I think it was in 1938 or 39, I went to New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived in Holland. There was still racism, but I went to, black and white school. When I was about 12 or 13 years old, I came back to the South, where I went to school, and where I rode the bus, and I had to stand up on the bus.
Uh-huh.
There was only the back seat of the bus, and 2 seats on either side the bus. I don't care how many seats was in front. If you was black, you had to stand at the back of the bus.
Wow.
And I did that until I graduated high school.
Wow. Do you remember a time when you ever experienced racism?
All the time, when we had to go to the little town in Macon,
Uh-huh.
there were no restrooms for us to go to. And if we wanted a sandwich or something, we had to go to the outskirts where they had black restaurants or somewhere to get something. Because if you did, you had to go to the back of the dime stores or something like that. And, they'd give you could buy a sandwich or something like that, but there's no restrooms for you to go to while you were in town. And that, you couldn't go to no white restaurants. You had to always go to black restaurants. There were no places for you to, if your family came from the north, south, there was no place for them to stay unless they stayed with relatives. They could go to the hotels or nothing like that.
Wow. Do you remember how times changed when you guys finally got the right to vote?
I can remember I had been to college for 1 year, that when I turned 18, that I could vote.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 2 of us in this little town that I lived, and we felt that gave us a right to do what we wanted to. But they always came to the black churches, and in different counties, there were different rules.
Okay.
Some counties, you weren't allowed to vote unless you could do this or that, or read something or do something. But in this little county that I live, by me having gone to college for 1 year, I was allowed to vote without having to go through all of that. But they came to the church and told us who to vote for and how to vote. But this girl and I, we had a little education, so we decided we was going to vote like we wanted to vote.
Uh-huh.
And we voted just the opposite of what they told us to vote.
Uh-huh.
And that evening, they said it was 2 niggas in Jones County that didn't vote right. And we were so scared. I was calling because I just knew they was going to hang me or do something. I wanted to get away from there real quick. I wanted to go to New York or Florida or somewhere to go to my parents because I lived in the little town in Georgia with my aunt
Uh-huh.
that had, I was brought up by so many different people. And so I was ready to leave Jones County right then because I knew it was time they was going to go, because they said it was 2 niggas in Jones County that didn't vote the way they were instructed to vote. And I knew it was Camilla, the girl's name was Camilla Norman, myself. We didn't vote the way we were supposed to.
Y'all did what y'all wanted to do.
But I know of so many horrible things that happened in my family personally. I had a blind uncle with 1 son. He was married, a very good man. Him and his wife was going to have their first child. And so white people went to his house and wanted to buy whiskey. And he said, I don't sell whiskey. And they told him, nigga, you sell whiskey. And they shot and killed his pregnant wife.
Oh my God.
He killed the man. His dad was blind and lived down in Jones County. We was in Bibb County then. This happened in Bibb County. And they came to Jones County looking for him. They had covered him up in the chicken coop. But he had an aunt that lived way in the country. Somebody told them, the law folks, that his dad lived down in Jones County. And they came out there, and they had us, my aunt and all of us, they had us, and telling us not to say nothing or do nothing. And they had told, because we had heard what had happened. And they got him to the country. And the preachers got him away to Chicago and in the back seat of that car. But he would not stay because he wanted to come to his wife's funeral. He dressed like a woman and came back to his wife's funeral, and he got away again. But he died because he, I guess he started drinking and he died in Chicago.
Wow.
During World War II, my father was in Gainesville, Florida. He was on the Greyhound bus, and he was standing up, and there was a black pregnant woman standing in front of him, and the bus, knocked her over on the side of this white person, and he got up, and he slapped this pregnant woman. My dad knew where he was, and he knew the segregated rules. So he said he bit his lip. And they asked him, said, nigga, what you biting your lip for? And Paul off and slapped him. He said he knew everything in front of him except the pregnant woman was white. So he took out his switchblade knife and he just started cutting. He cut everything that was in front of him. Of course, they arrested him, they arrested him. And he went to jail, and he stayed in prison for that.
Wow.
But the only reason why they didn't kill him was because there were some white soldiers on there from the north they got up and testified and told what happened. And so he only got so many years for that. So I know many horrible stories of what happened to us as blacks in the South. And I know a lot of us left the South. When my husband, he was in service, I married him after he came out. When he came back, he came here. He came to Detroit. I came to Detroit in 1946. And the racism that I experienced here, I had a year at college. I couldn't get a job. I scrubbed for white folks here for $6 in car fare a day. At Brent General Hospital, they only had one black LPN on staff there at night. And we worked, and they had a white dining room for all the white people that worked there. But I worked in housekeeping. And when we went to lunch, we had to sit in the hallway on milk crates, right here in Detroit. On Dexter and Fairfield at Brent General Hospital. And it was like that until 1960. On Monica, West Chicago, Dr. Wittenberg had a black and white waiting room. Not in Georgia, but in Detroit, Michigan. And all I could find to do here was the day work, and I worked, like I said, I worked at Brent. And I did day work. I worked for the nurses at Brent Hospital. I scrubbed the floors at Brent and went to work for the nurses in the house, the white nurses at Brent Hospital. And I scrubbed their floors and cleaned their carpet right here. I could go all over this city on the bus, but after they put the expressway in, I couldn't do nothing. I didn't have any money.
Did you ever get a chance to march for our freedom, or did you ever witness a march?
They marched here in Detroit while I was here with Rita King's father when they had the march here in Detroit. But I didn't march, but I was aware of it. I should have marched, but I didn't march.
Okay.
I learned to drive when I was 50 years old.
Really? You didn't run nobody over, did you?
Huh?
I said you didn't run nobody over, did you?
No, I never, all these years, I never driven the expressway. I just got from point A to point B.
On the streets?
And I don't know how long it was before, I could make a left turn. I have to ride and ride and ride.
And keep turning right. Do you remember how the atmosphere was when Martin Luther King Jr. was killed?
I saw it radically change here. I was here when Martin Luther King died. And things got better. It was very hard for me. I wanted to go to school here, but it was hard then. I tried to get in school at one time to go to school to get my license for LPN, because I had been to school 1 year for nursing in the South. But I couldn't get in because I couldn't pass tests. You had to pass a certain test. Wow. I could not pass the test to go to school for LPN. But then they came out with a government program that said you could go to Wayne County Community College for $9 a credit. I thought that was just $9 for, for one lesson. Come to find out that was $9 a credit. So, I had to scrape up on that, and I started to go and taking classes. I took elementary, grammar and all like that. And before I could get in the nursing program going to Wayne County Community College, it only took 60 hours to get an RN degree going to Wayne County. In the first class, only took $60. 60 credits.
Wow.
I had 90-some credits before I got into that program.
Wow.
And when I got my RN from Wayne County Community College, the second class to graduate from Wayne County, and I was old.
But you did it.
I graduated from there when I was, I don't know how old I was, but I know I did manage to get a license, and I got an associate degree in science and an associate degree in art, but I was in the second class. And I understand, as of today, that class pictures is in the, down at Wayne County Community College, the second graduating class. Somebody said they have seen my picture on it. I don't know.
We're going to have to try to find it. We're going to definitely have to try to find it. Do you think times have changed from now since then as you were coming up?
I think they have changed to a certain extent, but I don't think there's a drastic change. I think I think we still have problems. The thing about it, what I'm grateful for, is that black children now have a chance to go to school if they take the opportunity. When I was bringing up my child, I told her, because I had medical problems, I said, you get your job, stay on a place if you have to. Go to night school, but make sure you stay in school. But God so let me live that I was able to,
To see her
to
graduate.
get her in school. But today she said to me, I wanted to go to a prestige college. I didn't have no money to send her to a prestige college. She had went to DIT. It was a school downtown.
Uh-huh.
And one of the teachers, when I was going to Wayne County Community, the chemistry teacher there, he was black. He said, if you sit, you can get into the nursing program, because they wasn't accepting me, because I was fat and heavy,
Uh-huh.
and they wouldn't accept me in the nursing program at first. He said, you go down there and you sit and you stay there. I guess he must have talked. And they saw how long I was supposed to stay. I did everything he told me to do till they let me in. So when I went to school, they said, any smart children in school. And I had a very gifted daughter. And I said, yes, my daughter, and I knew 3 other kids. I took 4 kids to him. He took them downtown, and they gave them all scholarships, and they went to DIT.
Wow.
And they all ended up with engineering degrees.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter ended up with a bachelor civil engineer. And she worked at Ford Motor Company for 29 and a half years.
Wow, it's a blessing. Such a blessing.
So I know that it's better because you all have opportunities. When I was come up there was no such opportunities. Because you can go to school now.
Mm-hmm.
But they seem to be dropping out, and that hurts me when I see you.
I know it do.
So every person that comes in my room to take care of me, I say it can be done. Don't give up, it can be done. And there's one aide here in the jail, she said, I can't do it, Miss Walker. I said, you can do it. And now she's working here as a nurse, and she'll tell you how I stuck on her and encouraged her.
Such a blessing.
And I don't know, I know if you cross my bed, I've always told you, if you get out there and scuffle and work, when you're born in the South, you have a grammar problem. Your speech is not correct. And there are so many things. When I came to Detroit, I tried to get a job at the telephone company. With my accent?
They said, no, Miss Walker.
200 pounds? I went to Hudson's trying to get a job riding, doing the elevator.
Uh-huh.
No. I wasn't the right side. When I went to Brent Hospital to work, Dr. Brent said he didn't want nobody working in this hospital weighing over 140 pounds. His wife liked me, and she hired me. She hired me to work at Brent. And because I had had a little bit of education, and they let me work in surgery, I did everything at Brent. I did everything there. And when I left from working in housekeeping, I worked in surgery. When they left Brent in 1960, they built Elliott General. I went there and worked at in CSR. Then I became an aide. You didn't have to have education, you know, no special technology to be a senior like you all do. Yeah. We just learned. That's how we did.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much, Miss Walker, for sharing your story with us. We appreciate you.
I could talk forever.